I keep seeing this over and over again. People earning high income, moving into the high income bracket range. They have nicer cars, nicer house, a better lifestyle. Problem is, they're not wealthy. In fact, some of them are actually stuck. They have the income to build real wealth, but they're not doing it. So today in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact reason why that is happening. And also, make sure you stay on to the end of this video. Remember to like and subscribe if you like this type of honest content. So let's first talk about what income is and what wealth is. So income is basically what you earn from your salary, your job, your business, is money coming in. I call that income. Very straightforward. But what is wealth? According to Investopedia, wealth is the total value of an individual or entity's accumulated assets, including cash, real estate, and investments, minus any liabilities or debt. So in other words, I put it simply, wealth is what you keep. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep, what you grow. So why aren't high income earners able to build their wealth? Why is it so tough for them to do so? So I like to put it this way to you. There is a gap between income and wealth. So you need to look at income like sort of like a river, something that's flowing, because income's supposed to keep flowing, right? As long as you work, you get income. And wealth is, for example, the reservoir that it goes into. So income is the river, wealth is like the reservoir. The issue is most people are earning more income, so which means in the same analogy, they are earning more income, so the river is getting bigger, it's flowing faster, but the reservoir doesn't change. So the first problem is most people focus on income itself. Everything around our social system today, our education system, whatever you've been taught, study hard, get a good grade, get a good job, get a good income, start a family, start saving what you can, investing what you can, right? So that is like the American dream. So we've been taught about income as growing our income, but we know that it's a life we take, but we are not taught to keep the income. We're not taught to invest it. We're not taught to have a wealth mentality. So the whole life game is earning more income, and the income is supposed to sustain your lifestyle. So there is a whole new generation of people today with massive, serious identity issues. We grow up, or people are growing up, especially the Gen Z, Gen Ys, millennials, Gen Alpha, are growing up in a society where we are very fueled, we're very controlled, can I say fueled and controlled or influenced, very heavily influenced by social media. So this is like a social media generation age. And what you get is, you get all this identity crisis issues that really affect the psychology of handling money. So it's really the social media algorithm's fault. And you know how the algorithms work, right? So if you are watching a content or stay long enough in a content that's talking about how people earn money or someone in your income bracket, they know everything about you. So for example, if you're in this income bracket, you're watching videos, they're showing you videos of people in a similar class of income bracket or slightly better than you, so they continue watching their content. So when you see content and you're being influenced by content of your peers getting a nicer car, going for certain holidays, going for certain luxury items, you can't help but be influenced. So there is this identity where you want to move up this ladder. You want to move up this ladder just a little more. Everything's just a little more. And therefore, because you're seeing all these things all around you, this sort of shapes your identity or what you think a wealthy person should be. So it becomes very dangerous, because when you fall into this trap, this mindset trap, that, hey, look, my peers are doing the same, my peers are earning more money, my peers are spending on things of luxuries, of items, it's very, very easy to get influenced. No matter how much you try, unless you shut off social media, you are always exposed to this. So that really, really shapes your identity and what you think you should be. So people spend the way like they want to match that kind of lifestyle. A friend or someone they see, it might not even be a friend, someone they see on social media who's having a better lifestyle, better age, in the same age category, and they get trapped. They spend like the wealthy, but they might not be having the income to spend in that category that reflects the life. For example, if a wealthy person spends on certain luxuries, it is only a certain percentage of their wealth. Whereas if you're always exposed to that and your income is not the same or your wealth is different and you're spending it off your income, it's much, much more. So let me give you an example. Let's say you see a millionaire with a 10 million net worth and they're spending about $100,000 on a car. That $100,000 on the car, it's only a small fraction of their wealth. So if they have $10 million, 1% is $100,000. So that is not a significant amount of their wealth. 10% is about $1 million. So they're spending about 1%. But if you compare this with someone who makes an average income of, let's say, 200,000 or 300,000 a year of annual income without that kind of wealth, and they're trying to buy a car which costs $100,000, that actually is quite a significant portion, because if they're earning 200,000 a year, buying a $100,000 car is 50% of your income. I'm not even counting their wealth yet, depending on their wealth. So the proportion is very, very different. The percentage is very, very different. So that is where the danger happens, when they're comparing and they're trying to do that. So this in turn comes to the main trap which I was talking about. It's not the income, it's not the wealth, it's not the financial discipline, but it stems on the behavior which shows a pattern. If you want to build wealth today, you need to make basic behavioral decisions to actively start building your wealth, whether it is to save that money aside or to invest that money aside. So the contrast is, one is thinking about the future, where they want to be, where they want to be spending, and one is spending it today. And that is really a behavioral issue as well, and the trap that comes with it when you're earning the high income, because you fall into that trap and you start living and making behavioral decisions for today rather than the future. That is where it happens, and they're not able to build the wealth, because a big proportion of the income goes to lifestyle. A big proportion of the income goes to things that are, food related, living expenses, that are not actively building their wealth. And that's why it's so difficult. So if that's the case, we have people making certain decisions because of a behavioral habit, and they are looking more of the now and today rather than the future. They're not actively building the wealth. What are the people who are wealthy doing that's in contrast with people who are just earning a high income? I shared this in a previous video where I talk about the 5 patterns of what I've noticed where the millionaires and the wealthy do differently. And I think it comes down to this. That is, they view money as a tool. I've said it before in my previous video. So they look at it as a tool to enable them to do things, goals, or dreams. So when you look at money as a tool, wealth as something you have to steward, it's not something that you really want to spend or you want to earn. It's not something that just belongs to you. If you see money as a tool, you will start making different behavioral decisions. It will influence everything that you do. Every decision, every financial decision will change just because you view money as a tool for something that you want to achieve. This is in stark contrast where money is normally the destination, or wealth, a figure of wealth is the destination for a person. So this fundamental shift will really, really change the way you make decisions in the future. They do not look at it like a destination. They do not look at money like a destination. They do not look at money as money, but they look at it more as a tool and something you can enable you to do that. And what happens when you look at it as a tool? You start to use it. You start to use and know how to invest, how to use it, how to use the money to do certain things. I'm not saying they don't enjoy themselves, they do, but the key criteria is they know how to use the tool. When you know how to use the tool, that's where you're able to grow your wealth successfully. So high income earners who are not able to build their wealth view money as a direct result of their effort. So when they view it and tie it to the direct result of their effort, then it is very related to them. And that's where you have a situation where, okay, I've worked so long, so many hours for this income, and because I have this money, I'm entitled to spend it because I worked so hard for it. So when you view it not as a tool, but as a direct result of your effort, then that's where you make behavioral decisions like, okay, rather than save for the future, I've worked so hard, let me enjoy it now. Let me just buy that car which I wanted. Let me just buy that watch that I wanted. Let me buy that jewelry. Or let me stay in that fancy house I've always wanted to stay in. So they make decisions which are not really financially correct, not really financially sound, or not really they want to grow their wealth, but they end up making decisions that are not growing your wealth. So I contrast this with a millionaire that I had a chance to work with. They are able to look at how they can use the income to, for example, learn, to teach their children or their families how to invest, maybe give experiences, for example, in investing in stock market, in investment products, in real estate, whichever class of asset that you choose, because every wealthy individual chooses different class of assets, right? There's no one class of asset that works for everybody. So that's what they do. They use it as a tool, or maybe they use it to send to better schools or certain experiences in life that can help to grow their children or to grow their families. So when you become clear in this, your identity will no longer be tied in to money. And when the identity is no longer tied into money and wealth all the time, that's where you're going to be able to start making decisions, to start saving, to start investing for consistency. So if you're in your 20s and 30s and you're watching this, or even in your 40s, it's never too late to start. The two questions that you should ask yourself today is, what I am doing financially serving myself today, or is it serving my future self? The second question you should ask is, can I start seeing my income as a tool, or money as a tool, rather than wealth and money as a destination, as a number that I want to achieve? Just these two questions will really help you to reframe your mind, to think about how you want to build your wealth. Hopefully, it will give you a kickstart in what you should be doing consistently to start growing your wealth. Now, thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this kind of content, I'm going to have a whole series coming out where I talk about building wealth slowly. So these are the videos where I'm talking a bit about the psychology of it so that you can learn a bit more before actually starting to deal with money. So I hope that's useful to you. If it is, please like, please subscribe, and do comment in the comments below. If you have any experience in this, or you have a situation where it affected you, where you start viewing it differently, do comment in the comment below. Thank you very much. You have a great day and you have a great week. See you in the next one.